to make America utopia, take away the economy from those who rigged it. As I see it, class warfare, the only resort to right wing doom. It's worth it. How to talk to your right wing relatives, friends, and neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willis. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willis, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to the entire United States. Good morning to the entire world, receiving our signals via the magic of el Internet, formerly known as the ARPANET, created by whom? We the people. We the people. We got to keep remembering we the people. Now controlled by the billionaires. But you know what? The fight continues, and we will make sure and win it. Anyway, without further ado, let's go to the studio with El Señor Howard Reynolds, Jack Van Bebbe, and Mayana. Buenos dias, mis hermanos y hermana. How are you guys doing?
Good morning. We're doing good this morning.
Good morning, Egberto.
How
How
are
are
you?
you?
I am doing fine. I'm doing fine. Talk to me, my friends.
All right. I'm the kind of person that says stop paying the people that are enslaving you. You
Amen.
know,
Mm-hmm.
as Texas is set to for its health insurance rates to increase by some 30%. At what point do the people just say enough and no more? Texas is fast approaching a rallying point as health insurance costs are set to rise some 30% on Texans. You've heard me say it before. Let's stop paying the people who are enslaving us. And healthcare insurance is definitely an industry that's enslaving the people. So when the health insurance increases happens, refuse to pay them. Have the courage it takes to risk a lapse in coverage to obtain a better healthcare future. If enough people would take this action, the people could force Congress to enact health Medicare for all. It's time to put your money where your mouth is, and if you truly want healthcare as a right, it's time to act now. Send a message through lost insurance premium revenue that the people of Texas and the United States will not be held hostage to health care cost. Period.
Wow. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
Wow.
Exclamation point.
Let's put about 20 exclamation points behind that.
Yes.
You know,
This
let
could
our
this could be a good point to start to say, no, we're
Mhm.
not going any further. We're not paying your health insurance cost, and it stops now.
That is, the thing about it is that's where we have to stop the divide and conquer and work collectively, work together against those that are oppressing us. And that is an oppression, economic oppression, all kinds of oppressions. Again, because people who have the price and power, they get the price and power. Mayana, what's up, my dear sister? What you got for us today?
I'm good. I'm just actually listening to what he's saying, and I was just thinking how hard that is, going to be for people with families and stuff, like how you stop having insurance, you know.
Well, there's also another way to do it, right? And that is, even if you get your insurance, that when the bill, what these guys, I mean, even the whole system is a mess, right? So doctors understand that a lot of people are not going to pay their regular, the bills, and what they do is they overcharge on the bill, and in effect, everybody
Mm,
gets their
the
cut, and
code.
the only one who suffers ultimately is the one who pays, and it's the patient. It's we have such a corrupt healthcare system, and as long as you have people who say, "Well, I am getting through it fine," it's hard to change. And what we
I
have
hear you,
to
but I think maybe the people who are without families, it'd probably be a lot easier to start there, you know?
Yes, yes, agreed,
Yeah.
agreed, agreed. The thing is,
Good idea to
I
start.
go ahead. I'm sorry, Mayana.
No, I'm saying it's a good idea to start there, probably because it is a good idea what Jack is saying. I was just saying it's probably a good idea to start there because it's just, you get to make that decision for yourself rather than, go
Yeah,
through the whole
yeah.
family.
If like the millennials out there, which are suffering probably the most, the single men could are probably healthy enough to weather no insurance coverage for a while. And if it starts there, that would be great.
Yeah.
But it's going to take a lot more than that. It's just going to it's this is something that could really very easily turn the tide, I believe, if
I
people
think
could get on this boat and ride it.
a
It may take
30%,
6 months
right.
or a year, but it would be worth it in the long run.
Let me tell, and just as much, Jack, we have the power to force any elected official now to make that commitment. I mean, the thing about it is we have not exerted the power that we have collectively. And the reason we haven't done that is because they have us believe, well, first of all, they divide and conquer, right? They split us up in all these different sub chunks, so instead of fighting together, we are all fighting for crumbs. We have to get over that. And one of the things that we do here, all of us here, in the way we speak to the audience, is to try to make folks realize we're all paddling in the same boat. Don't let anybody let you believe that these boats are separate. No, these we are all paddling the same boats, going through the same issues, and that they would have you believe that that is not the case. So yeah, we have to find collective actions, and I'm going to be talking about the protests that I went to yesterday. But I just want to make sure that you and Mayanna, if there's anything else that you guys have to say, you get it out so that I can go ahead and get started.
Yeah, I'm actually excited to hear about the protest, so let's go.
Excellent. Well, let's get busy. I want to read the post that I wrote last night. Probably, I don't know, midnight. I think I posted it on. You know what? Let me bring up my chat here. I forgot to bring my chat up. Egberto, how could you forget to bring your chat up? That is wrong. Anyway, want to make sure that I salute all my people. But last night I wrote a piece, and I want to bring that up because I pointed out. I'm gonna read it at the top of it, and it goes this way. I title it "The Kingwood Workers Over Billionaires Labor Day Rally Solidified That We Will Win." And you listen to what you and Jack were talking about there as well. Those are items that we have to come up with to do exactly that, solidify our week. So I wrote, we expected over 3,000 people on the West Mall at the Capitol in Washington, D.C. People were flying in from major cities and rural areas. They were driving in from West Virginia, mountains, and the Carolinas. We utilized tens of thousands of donations from thousands of supporters to host this massive event. Enough is enough, citizens' intervention. We paid thousands to consultants for getting media out there and to set up the PA system, security, and more. It was October 29th, 2011, and we got a freak snowstorm in DC. It did not matter that the attendance fell. We went out into the snow and spoke our hearts out about the angst in the country. Man, it was so cold that day. My jaws, I remember as I'm speaking at the podium, my jaw was, I could barely articulate the words because my jaws froze. There was one CNN reporter who showed up, and there were no mentions about that hell of an event in the snow on the West Mall on Capitol Hill. We saw no coverage at all. The Occupy Wall Street movement in New York City and in other major cities received extensive media coverage for 59 days in 2011. They were eventually extinguished as the corporatocracy used Occupy Wall Street's democracy against them. That statement is beyond the scope of this article, but my friend Michael Levitin's book, Generation Occupy, Reawaken American Democracy, is probative. Actually, he interviewed me for that book that he was doing, and I have a couple of mentions in his book. What was missing was coverage of many more intimate actions inspired by the movement. In Kingwood, even after Occupy Wall Street had been snuffed out in New York, snuffed out in Pittsburgh, snuffed out in Philadelphia, other major cities, is snuffed out here in Houston. We're part of Occupy Houston as well. We maintained here in Kingwood 52 consecutive weeks of Occupy Kingwood with little to no media coverage except for the 52nd week when it concluded. While this was occurring, the Tea Party would get small crowds that were always amplified by the mainstream media. Why? Because the corporate owned media were fighting the unwarranted fear that Obama was about to upend the oligarchy with a modification of Mitt Romney's universal health care plan and other minor progressive tweaks to policy. I find the current movement fascinating and compelling. They tried to ignore it as best they could. But when Indivisible Kingwood, led by Cindy Hendrickson and Vicky Feedback, can bring out 700 plus on the big day, 60 plus and 75 plus, respectively, in two consecutive rallies here in Kingwood, a purportedly ultra conservative suburb with mostly supportive passerbys, it is immaterial what the press does. Benevolent change has begun, and it is metastasizing. While there have been some local media outlets, it is the alternative and independent media that are informing the less politically informed that engagement is now. I interviewed 20 people at the rally today, meaning yesterday. There were over 75 in attendance. I just posted a lot of those interviews on the YouTube site. In the crowd were former supporters of Republican Congressman Dan Crenshaw, who had no intentions of supporting him again and were willing to say so explicitly on camera and implicitly behind the scenes. Admittedly, the rallies have had a large number of older adults. It was refreshing to see young people joining in yesterday. Are you kidding me? And I had to go and speak to at least three of them, and I did, and I got them on interviews. You can find that at the site. There is a reason for my bloviation. You see, something is happening. And of course, the mainstream media is hesitant to say it explicitly. When the liberals were in power, angst was manufactured and exploited till fallacy became reality. Remember how bad things were under Biden? No, what I remember from Biden is under Biden, he was recovering out of the malaise, the destruction of the economy, and the killing of people by Donald Trump. That's what I remember. I remember Donald Trump playing games with the vaccine, eventually landing the right place after a lot of people died. But I remember him keeping people on ships so that we don't count the dead people. I remember him talking about ivermectin in your blood. I remember him injection with bleach and using light to kill the virus. That's what I remember. And I remember sanity coming back in 2020, and that Biden became a president in his first 2 years where he had control of Congress as well, where he dropped childhood poverty by 50%. That's what I remember. I remember as soon as 2022 came from, what did I say there? From the angst, the manufactured angst by the media, corporate media on Biden, because you know what? It turns out Biden, even as I wasn't a big supporter of Biden, even as I wanted a real progressive in that office, Biden turned out to be the most progressive president in my lifetime. In my lifetime. If you take a look policy per policy per policy, again, he wasn't my guy, but I've got to be honest. If you look at the policies he passed in the first 2 years, he was, in fact, the most progressive president we've seen in our lifetimes. And he brought down the poverty rate of children. He couldn't get some of the things passed because of cinema and mansion, those other Republican light Democrats, but Republican light politicians. But man, what he could get done, he sure as hell got done. And it brought back a recovery more so than any other country in the world. We were one of the only OECD countries that never went into recession after COVID. And the media, the manufactured angst. You know, you keep telling people lies enough and you amplify it and you start believing it and people start acting it out, because remember, the economic system is a fluid thing. If I think something is going wrong, I may stop spending. If I think the economy is about to falter, I may hold on to a job further. I mean, you do different things based on your psychological state, or your psychological state based on the inputs you're getting for how an economy is going to function. And that's what was done in 2022, 2023, 2024. And it was effective. The economy is in shoddy state right now for the average American worker. The billionaires are doing great, but the average economy is doing very badly for a large percentage of this population. And do you see that? Do you see the angst that you saw during Biden when things were actually pretty good for most? Inflation rate going down from 9%, created by what again? Created by false shortages. I can give you a whole reason why the interest rates at 9%, the inflation rate at 9% was really a fraud by corporations on all of us. I've written articles on that one before, and it's unrefuted that inflation was really never 9%. They just suckered us, right? So, but now that things are bad for a large percentage of us, we don't get that angst reported on the mainstream media. We also don't get the coverage of the amount of people that are out there with us. Let me finish the article, then I want to get to what happened yesterday around the country. There's a reason for my bloviation. Something happened when the liberals were in power. Angst was manufactured and exploited till fallacy became reality. The angst now is organic, and we do not need the mainstream media's acquiescence to the economic and social talking points of the GOP and the administration are not holding. The vast number of these rallies, large and small, around the country, while not visible on mainstream media, is well covered by independent media. Hey, we're covering it. And social media, when not throttled too heavily. Because remember, the mainstream media, or rather the social media controlled by your billionaires, guess what they're doing? Messages that they don't like, that Trump doesn't like, etc., it's not getting the performative push into your friends' feed and your friends' feeds, even if you make it public. I've seen my numbers on Facebook and YouTube and all these different platforms that I know when we go live, a signal is supposed to be sent out, and suddenly not everybody gets a signal anymore. And you know how I know? Because I get emails, hey, I don't get your signals anymore when you go live. I don't know. And I have to remind folks, hey, guy, we go live the same time twice a day. Same time. So don't depend on the signals to wake you up. We got to talk. The bottom line is, as Obama said, we are who we have been waiting for. Now we need to keep it up. We are showing people that they are already empowered to effect change through their actions. Kingwood residents and residents throughout the country, thank you. You are making a difference. Your victory has already begun with the special elections we have been winning in the Republican districts, the governorship we will flip in Virginia, and the big wins we will have in New Jersey and Virginia for the people. And when I talk big wins, and I say we, I'm talking we the people, things that are going to make people's lives better. We the people, things that are going to make lives better. I am not talking party affiliation or anything, even though there's a biased or a bias, but you get what I'm saying. And of course, the House and the Senate, in fact, will flip in 2026, pending everybody out there doing their work to save the country. So, folks, everybody's on notice. If you want to save your democracy, you got to do the work. I tell you what, I have a lot more to talk about. I have a couple of videos I need to play, short ones, but Johnny's on the line, so I'm going to bring Johnny in and then I'll continue. So, Johnny, real quick, my dear brother.
Excuse me for the cough. I got an itchy throat. So Magic Jack's call to action this morning echoes basically what Arnie Arneson was talking about, her and her guest from the editor from The Nation magazine, whose name escapes me right now.
The
Another
woman?
senior moment, sorry. No, it's a male guest. He writes for the. He's one of the editors at The Nation magazine. He's one of the good guys. He's a regular. Anyway, so their conversation was echoed by Magic Jack this morning, the call to action. So from my point of view, from someone at home, and imagining other people at home, in my neighborhood, in other neighborhoods nearby, all the way up to your neighborhood up in Kingwood, when we turn on the radio or we tune into our favorite media outlet, whether it's on TV or whatever, and we hear or see a call to action, the first thing what comes to mind is, well, I want to do that, but how do I know how many other people are doing it? People are hesitant to act unless they see, because we're like lemmings sometimes. So if we hear or see a call to action, and that call to action includes a place where people can go on the internet, like a website, for example, then I go to that website and register my interest, so everybody else who's listening registers their interest at the same time, and then we go back in a day or so and we see, okay, how many people now are ready, willing, and able? And then the person running the website says, okay, we've reached a critical mass where we feel we can impact financially XYZ company. It might be several companies, but this company, we're ready to go. These people are customers of that company. You guys, if you're ready, sign up, and then we will execute an action on this day, this month, or next month. That, I think, is the logistical challenge. If we do that, I think we'll get a lot more success.
Let me just tell you that I'm going to just call you a genius, and because geniuses think alike, there was another genius who put together a tool that Indivisible and many others use that does something very similar. In other words, they create an event, people sign up for the event, people get to see that people are going to be there, and they show up. Stay on the line because I want you to listen to what this young man said. It's a 1-minute thing that I want you to listen to because likewise, you just mentioned something important. People need to feel that they're not going to be alone, and you nailed it. Check this out.
Name? Scott. Hey, Scott. One of the things that I always say is I want to see a lot of the same people here every time because it says we have permanence. In other words, it's not just a fly-by-night thing that I did one time and it's over. I saw you here. I saw you at No Kings. I saw you at the previous one. I saw you at the town hall. Let me tell you, that is what we need. Talk to me.
And the need hasn't changed. We still have to show up and show people that they are not alone when they think something's wrong with this administration.
You know, let me tell you, and again, highlighting you again, I think that is something that people have to realize. This is not something that's going to get fixed in one day, one election cycle, or otherwise. So what's your intent? Will you be out here day in and day out?
as long as there's someone out here to stand next to me,
You will be here.
every time I know about it, I'll do my best to show up for.
What's your name?
Scott.
Hey, Scott.
That's what I'm talking about, Johnny. As long as there's somebody there to stand with me, I will be there.
Okay, here's my follow-up question before I hang up. Can we, in the listening audience right now, either this morning or later today, go online to, let's say, I don't know, Indivisible, and do they have a function on their website where people listening can respond to engage in a specific action like withholding payment to insurance companies? Are they coordinating something like that right now, to your knowledge?
Yes. In fact, Indivisible is like a clearinghouse. All the Indivisibles are local, and there's an Indivisible National that runs the app that does what you're talking about. And you can go up to Indivisible, sign up, and create your event. And then you create a method of community. That by setting up that event, you are and you don't get the people's individual emails, etc. As the organizer. Yeah, as the organizer, I think you do, but also you send actions to these people or what we're going to do. You have direct one-to-one contact. So the model is there's a big central location for Indivisible, but then it is localized to every single organizer out there doing something. So let's say you as Johnny wanted to put something together. You don't even have to be the person that's going to go out there in the field. Let's say you are somebody in a wheelchair or something. You can become a very effective organizer with Indivisible and have, as the organizer and put things together to do that sort of a thing. So yes, the tools are there and they're getting better to do that sort of a thing. Cindy Hendrickson, who is, go ahead, sir.
The last thing that I'm thinking about listening to your response is that it would be nice, I don't know if they do or not, maybe they do, you tell me, do they have media people that reach out to KPFT and KPRC and all these stations and TV stations in real time saying, okay, this is who we are, this is what we're doing, we'd like to have you publish this public service announcement we put together, we'd like to upload to you guys. Do they have something like that to where they know they can get that message out?
Let me just say this. Indivisible is known by the mainstream media very well, but they put them on sometimes. Now, it is a responsibility because it's decentralized, right? Everybody is supposed to know their media market. And let's use our local Kingwood as an example. Cindy works often by giving me information on what she has planned, what she's going to do, etc. So it is there. And again, it is they train their local organizers very well on what to do, and they have a whole manual on how you get performance, how you get politicians to listen. And let me just say tell you the effectiveness of it. I don't know if you realize that Kingwood made national news with Dan Crenshaw's town hall, and it made national news. Yes. And it made national news because we had 500 plus people at that town hall in Kingwood on Dan Crenshaw. And Dan Crenshaw tried to bloviate his way, and they really hit him. And the conservatives in the room, you could see they were a part of. They felt themselves. They didn't come out and say it, but they felt themselves a part of the opposition to what he was talking about, because most of them were silent. Of course, he had a few guys get up and, oh, shut up, you guys, let him talk, but most of them were quiet and wanted answers. So what I'm saying, Johnny, is, and the piece that I wrote last night is real. This is not wishful thinking. The change is occurring, and what we have to make sure is that it doesn't evaporate and that we reach more people. Like the questions that you're asking right now, thank you, because a lot of people are hearing the answers, right? And a lot of people will say, let me check out this Indivisible thing, because Johnny brought up this thing about how it actually operates. All right?
Okay, before I hang up, I want to make a promise to you.
Yes.
I will tell you, this is to help you in your activism. In my neighborhood, of the almost 30 homes in my neighborhood, the majority of us are retired, and I think they are on Medicare in our household. Mm-hmm. So those days of withholding payment to insurance companies is gone. But
Right.
I will promise you that I will talk to all the neighbors if and when you make the announcement that Occupy or the Indivisible is preparing a function, and if there's something that they could boycott other than health insurance companies, I will let them know, and I will give them the website to go to if and when you guys make such an announcement. I will rely on you to find out from you because I listen to radio. That's my prime.
There you go. Well, we got a new activist in the fold, folks. Well, you are always an activist, but we got a new organizer in the fold.
Stay safe. Stay safe. Bye-bye.
All right, brother. Peace. All right. Thank you for that, Johnny. Really enjoyed that. Let's go ahead now. An article I want to touch on. Well, before I go to the article, I want you to listen to this guy because, I've been very hard on evangelical pastors because of because in effect, they're leading their flocks down the wrong aisle. And, by their support of Donald Trump, they've normalized evil, to put it bluntly, something that is very anti-Jesus. I want you to go ahead and listen to this.
Sir, what's your name?
Bill Allen.
Bill, I understand you actually served in the military. Is that correct?
I did. I was an officer in the U.S. Army, in the Medical Corps for 14 years. I swore an oath to support and defend the U.S. Constitution, and the current administration is blowing off the Constitution. It's potentially the death of our democracy. We should not allow this to happen.
Well, I imagine that the reason that you're out here is you realize that the only way that we'll make a difference is actually showing up.
It's actually showing up. You can't stick your head in the sand and expect the problem will go away. I was a pastor, a sort of a junior pastor, a local pastor at First Methodist Houston.
And go ahead.
And the problem is so much of what we're doing now is cruel. It lacks compassion. We're the wealthiest country on earth. And there's no amount of rationalization that you can use to justify cutting food for hungry people at home and abroad.
Now, let me ask you something. As a former pastor, how can you just look? Let me tell you, I don't hold the congregation accountable because a congregation learns to follow its shepherd, its pastor. My question to you is, how can pastors that are all around here in Kingwood possibly support such a flawed person that has expounded so much evil?
That sort of thing has happened over and over again. You got to remember that in Nazi Germany in the 1930s, the institutional church followed Hitler to a man, almost. Only a small fraction of the pastors stood up against what was wrong and cruel in the Nazi regime. People are afraid. They have to survive. And so often we do the wrong thing. And it's just a few people that'll stand up and risk taking a stand against what's wrong in society.
Well, the good thing about this is that the magical number is when 3.5% of the people stand up, and we are quickly approaching that 3.5% of people actually going out into the streets. You said that people are afraid. Do you think pastors who command that many people are afraid as well, or do you think they're just corrupt? And your thoughts on that?
Well, I honestly think it's a couple of things. I mean, they're afraid. Plus, they've forgotten who Jesus is, in my opinion. They're not all bad people, but they are doing something that is wrong. It is important for spiritual leaders to remember things like compassion, empathy, our concern for the poor and the defenseless. Part of what Jesus did was he healed people. He fed people. He took care of the defenseless, whoever they were.
Hello, sir. What's your name?
Now, this guy was a former pastor and also a military guy. These are people that would never in the past come to these types of events, especially here in Kingwood. I have another woman here, no arch liberal or anything like that, but Trump and his sycophants would have one believe that, oh my God, all people are just banging and wanting to get rid of these undocumented workers, etc., etc., etc. Want you to see what just the average, regular American folk think about that. Check this out.
And what's your name?
Barbara Buttermore.
Barbara, today's a holiday. I know you could be doing a whole lot of other things, but you're here. Why?
It's very important to me that I stand right now for what is right, and what is happening in this country is a disgrace, and I am so concerned, and I have to put my face out here, I have to put my body here, I have to let people know where I stand.
Now, what most bothers you about the state of our country?
Oh my, just about everything. I believe that the man who says he's in charge is trying to take over this country, to become a dictator, to become a king. I hate what's happening with the immigration situation. It breaks my heart. It is not right. And we have lost sight of our Constitution. I don't know what's happened to people that they don't remember what the Constitution is about.
Yeah, it has a lot to do with propaganda, but it's interesting that you brought up immigration. A lot of people think, oh, you want to see these people treated the way they're treated.
Oh my.
And sadly, the picture that it gives across the world does more harm to us as a country than anything else. Your thoughts?
Absolutely. And nobody, there is no human being that deserves to be treated the way these people are being treated. We need a fair system. We need a system that if they are illegal, if they are criminals, then we judge them the way we would judge any other person. They would go before the courts, they would be found guilty, and then there would be a penalty. We don't round up people and just say you're guilty and send them off to some concentration camp. We didn't used to anyhow.
Well, you know what? You being here means everything to the country. All the folks being here, it's so important that people are stepping up. Thank you for being here.
Now, here's the funny thing, right? I remember in protests back 11 years ago when we had Occupy out here, and we never got this many people at once consistently as Cindy and Vicky are getting out there in Kingwood. People that are, not, and it's not just a whole bunch of progressives. And what is interesting is that more than having those people out there is the response from that's the heaviest intersection in Kingwood where we're at, and we're in Four Corners. And it is amazing that what you find is, whereas in the past you would have gotten probably a 67% ratio in fingers and horns, right? Yesterday, and even when we had 700 people out there, you're talking about the vast majority of people were actually positive. You always had that dude that raced off in his car to race his engine and show his immaturity and stupidity. But most of the people acted intelligently and understood what these folks were protesting about. And for Den Crenshaw, there's a warning. And I want him to listen to this warning. I think it's a foregone conclusion. I think as far as he's concerned, he should be done.
What's your name?
My name's Cliff Bowden.
Cliff, talk to me.
I attended the Dan Crenshaw rally. I voted for Dan, matter of fact, twice. Dan's a veteran. I am also. I was disappointed with Dan. I was angry with Dan. He never took a question. He waited and rated. He just read the script for about 50 minutes. Wouldn't answer a question. I wanted to know about NATO, what his feeling was about NATO and Ukraine, and should we have more solid backing of NATO. Wanted to know if he really feels that Ukraine started the war, as his president is telling him. Didn't answer any questions, and I'm really disappointed in Dan.
And again, like you mentioned, you voted for him twice. And you went there hoping to get some answers, valid answers, and you never got any.
Wrote Dan several times, got one reply with sort of a standard answer. But as far as the specific questions I asked, he didn't entertain those questions. He just gave his scripted answer.
Thank you so kindly for being out here. What's your name?
And there you go. A lost vote. So that's where we're at. When I wrote in the article last night, or I should say early this morning, I think it was midnight, that things are starting to change. For every person that is willing to go on camera, I can probably point out 10 that are camera shy. One woman told me, I sent my son off to his dad so that I would have time to come here. His dad is full MAGA. I sure as hell am not. That's the kind of people that we had out there. That's the kind of people that we had out there yesterday. People that are waking up and pulling the rug from off their eyes, and it's wonderful to see as people start to wake up. As people start to wake up. But anyway, there are over 1,000 of those throughout the country. I scoured ABC, CBS, NBC. I kept on changing channels to see how many of them actually got any serious coverage. None. Over 1,000 of them. The Tea Party never reached that performance. Ever. Ever. And they got coverage. They got coverage. Uju says, literally in the Bible, Jesus flipped the table on the oligarchs and corrupt politicians. They claim to be Christians, but break the 10 Commandments, and they glorify the 7 deadly sins. They hate God and Jesus. They are Satan worshippers. Let's see. We also have Cheryl Elkins, who said, now we need to turn the positive responses of passerbys into boots on the ground with us. It takes time to boost courage, but courage is contagious. Cheryl, you nailed it. And I don't have the time to call out all you beautiful people on the different chats right now. Just those 2 messages kind of stung, needed to be said. As far as Eric is concerned, Eric believes that shouting down Crenshaw was wrong. No, whenever a question was asked of Crenshaw, these people toned down to let the questions be answered, to be asked. And when he went right back to reading a script as opposed to answering the questions, that's when the noise began. The people did perfect attendance and protesting and at his rally. Now, I wanted to talk about all the things that yesterday was Labor Day, and this protest was labor against billionaires. Wanted to go into a whole lot of stuff that labor, how the government has affected labor and how changes can be made so that our workers are more in tune with what they need. We have to realize that many workers are so brainwashed. Which sensible worker would say they don't want a union? Which sensible worker think they can do it alone? Not even corporations work alone. Corporations form unions as well. Every corporation is in some sort of a union. The Chamber of Commerce is called Chamber of Commerce. It's a union. The Metallurgical Association, it's a union. Small Business Association, it's a union. They band together to get a better deal. And they've convinced many workers, especially in right-to-work states, which right-to-work doesn't mean anything real, okay? Like Texas is a right-to-work state, which weakens the unions, right? They have many average workers working against a union. Talk about mental deficiency. Come on in, Jimmy.
Hi, Roberto. Yesterday's New York Times had an editorial titled, "Trump is wiping out unions. He is unilaterally stripping collective bargaining rights from hundreds of thousands of federal workers. At the Department of Veterans Affairs alone, 400,000 workers have lost their collective bargaining rights. He's also removed these bargaining rights from the Patent Office, NASA, and the National Weather Service, and the unions are not doing much about it. So the unions themselves, I think, need to speak up and get more active to work against what President Trump is doing to the unions."
Yeah, let me tell you, you're absolutely right. I actually printed out because I wanted to be able to, if somebody asked that specific question, I wanted to be able to to answer it. And here's the deal. I'm going to give you the nine headlines of how eight headlines of how unions are affected, and then some other day I'll go into the specifics. The Taft-Hartley Act restrictions still in force. The judicial decision favoring employers, deliberate policy choices, Labor Department and NLRB rollbacks, which is what you're talking about, surveillance and repression, failure to modernize labor laws, and other types of laws. So those are the seven major ways in which the federal government, and specifically Trump, using the NLRB rollbacks and the Labor Department to cripple the worker. But the worker again has that power called strike. You know, strike.
There,
Anything else,
there
real
was
quick? I guess.
also
Go ahead.
there was also a full page ad in yesterday's New York Times about Starbucks. Apparently, they don't give their workers the union rights that they would like to have. So
Exactly.
it's all around
Let
the
me
country that people are attacking unions.
look. Starbucks used to be. I mean, Starbucks wasn't unionized, right? And nobody in the early days were clamoring for unions. And I used to live in Starbucks. I wrote my books in Starbucks, etc. But I stopped when unions attempted to be formed and Starbucks started to fight them. The reason I loved Starbucks in the early days is that it was such a rich company that it was also spreading the wealth around. The employees got good benefits, they got schooling, they got a whole lot. And I was a big supporter of the company then. Not so much now, because again, with the fight that they're having with unions, and their former president coming out against unions, no, couldn't have it. Hey, I gotta go, Jimmy, but thank you very much for calling. Got a bunch of calls, okay?
Okay, have a good day, Berto.
You too, brother. All right, let's go to Donald. Come on in, Donald.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, it was funny how Dan had his meeting at 5 o'clock. I think people are still at work, and you knew it was only going to be for an hour, but he is not a politician, because the fact is people are sick and tired of do as I say, not as I do.
Right
That
on.
you interact with the people that are there. Take even the most difficult questions and have enough brains in your head to answer it in a political way, or you have to at least address it. And it's not going to be any more of this yelling over each other and all the other garbage. You just need to address the person. Every moment is a teaching moment, and you have to teach the people, or you have to have something that you can stand on. And I don't think he has a leg to stand on. So
Exactly.
we'll
Let me
see
tell
how that goes.
Donald, here's the deal. He did it at 5 o'clock, expecting not to have a lot of people there. There are people who took off of work to be there, sir. And not only that, they 500. I mean, when I tell you having 500 people at a Dan Crenshaw effect scared the holy hell out of the organizers there. I saw it in their eyes. I was right there with my cameras. I saw that in their eyes.
Well, it should have been. I would have come over there and stood behind you and said, I triple dog dare you to say that. Say it. I'd have been
There you go.
elbowing you.
All right,
Hey,
Donald. We'll talk, brother. I gotta go. Thank you, my brother.
bye-bye.
All right, let's go to Michael. Come on in, Michael.
It's been a while. I'm getting feedback, but
I
you can hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you very well, sir.
Okay. You put too much credit into unions. The type of unions they have today are his biggest, that if doubles, biggest contributors. These imp unions that he controls don't believe in unions anymore. They believe in racism. Okay? Those union members right now, as I sit here in my Philadelphia freaking room overlooking Walnut Street, and that's what pisses me off. Unions are part of the problem right now because they don't have the right leaders. They don't have the right members because they are his biggest believers. Can you argue with that?
Okay, no, I cannot, because you're correct about the people who
You
the
don't
unions
believe that
that.
unions put him in office?
Let me answer your question, my friend. Let me answer your
Labor.
question. Let me answer your question. And first of all, you're correct about the corrupt unions that went ahead and support Donald Trump, etc. You're absolutely correct. The other thing that I do have to say real quickly, because I got to go to the next caller as well,
Yeah, you
is
gotta go.
that
You gotta go. You gotta go. You
no, no,
wait
no,
too
no, no,
long.
but no, 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 no. But I want to answer you, Michael.
Oh,
Michael,
brother.
I want to answer you. Here's the deal. What I'm saying, even in unions, you as the person, you with the knowledge you have to work with your brothers and sisters in the workplace and
Oh,
take
look,
over
look,
that
hey,
union.
Murphy, I have to go. These unions are the members are racist, okay?
Right.
And they believe in racist. They think they're going to go back in time, making America great again, not making
Right.
the worker great again. Bye.
Let's talk that up another time, my dear brother. Thank you. Let's go to John. Come on in, John.
Yeah, I have just a very short point about unions, and I think that we need to win over working people because they have been left out by the Democratic Party by Clinton, and Biden did make attempts to win back union support. You cannot win an election without workers. They're, and ordinary people. They are the biggest, voters, a block of voters. And also, as far as religious people, they often teach their people that this world is so corrupt and that they don't have to do anything. They can turn their back on Gaza. They can turn their back on their brother, who doesn't have insurance, who are living outside, and then they can claim their spot in heaven or something along those lines, and it's wrong. And has been wrong through history, as somebody pointed out. The Catholic Church supported Franco. They supported Mussolini. The Catholic Church supported Hitler. The Lutheran
John,
Church supported
I think we get the point. You nailed it, but I'm out of time. So thank you for that. I get your point. Thank you, my brother. All right, let's go to Coach AJ. Come on in, Coach. Real quick for me, brother.
Hey, how you doing?
Thank you for that.
I just want to. I'm gonna turn the radio down. I'm sorry. I just want to let you know my event is tomorrow. I think I told you earlier, a week or so ago, that I'm bringing together business, education, clergy, and the unions to just try to keep these young people off the street, man.
Give me the address and the time. Give me the address and the time.
Okay, we're gonna be at. Let me give it to Jack off air because I don't want to have a whole bunch of people showing up, and so I'll give it. So it's tomorrow. It's a luncheon. I'll definitely put your name down.
Thank you, brother.
The point is that you're right. We have to find out what we can do together to collaborate. Are we going to agree on everything? Absolutely not. But for instance, do we all need air to breathe? Yes, we do. So if you're breathing air, that's one thing that we can agree on that we need to try to fix this situation that's going on. Complaining about it, being upset about it, that's only going to last for a few. That's it.
Coach, thank you, my brother. Got to go. Thank you.
Sir.
Thank you. All right, let's go to Mike real quick. Mike?
Just wanted to say I'm a first-time caller, but I've been in my teachers union for a really long time, and this just requires for us to do the work. We got to do the groundwork. We got to lay it out. Unions are only what we make them.
Amen. Thank you very much for that, Mike. Very important statement. I want to talk more to Michael when we talk about that, as far as he has some points that need to be worked on. In other words, not he needs to work on it, the unions need to work on it. But hey, the union is better than no union. Thank you very much, Mike.
Thank you, sir.
All right, let's go to Brian. Come on in, Brian. Okay, let's see if Brian is still there. Is Brian still there? Go ahead, Brian.
I am now. Yeah, I am now. Yeah. So Dan Crenshaw had a public meeting, and you didn't get to talk to him. Now, I have 2 points. Well, how does it feel to want to talk to someone and you get cut off? That happens to me every time I call you. Second thing is AR-15s, they don't get so hot that they degrade themselves on accuracy after 3 shots. The vast majority of mass shootings, that's done with a 9mm pistol. So that's all I got to say. Thanks. Have a
All
good
right.
day.
Thank you, Brian. All right, let's go to the studio.
Yeah, I'm here. I was just thinking about the unions. I've been part of a union for where I work before, and I had 2 different jobs, same union. I got really good results from them on one job and not great results on the other job. And it was because I believe, I can't say for sure, that they were being paid, in order to do that. So yeah, unions are excellent. Like I am 100% for unions, but it is hard to fight against them. But it is better to have a union than not, because at least, you have, they are trying to push for something at the table for you,
I'm glad that you
That's
said
my
it that
thought.
way. I am glad that you said it that way, Mayena. The other thing, the corollary I would like to add to that is what Mike just said, and that is, if the union is not performing for the folks in the aggregate, that's what democracy is all about. You kick the bums who are taking money under, because you're right. Some of them take money from the same corporations that they're supposed to be fighting against. Let me give
Right.
a good example of this. Is not a union. This is the old people folk. The look at what the what is it called? The thing that old people, the union that old people goes to, that get bent. I can't. Why am I blanking out? Anyway, they're selling Medicare Advantage, okay, to old folk, and it's supposed to be looking out for old folks. So again, sometimes you have to watch that and be careful. Jack, you got anything?
Yes, courage is okay. Courage does not mean absence of fear. Courage is feeling the fear and doing it anyway.
There you go. There you go. Don't forget that, folks. Anyway, folks, the rest of the program can be found at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. You can write me directly at kpft@politicsdoneright.com. kpft@politicsdoneright.com. To my Substack listeners, my regular listeners on air, off air, online, thank you so kindly for being here. Love you all. Let's get busy. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out. Yes, it's AARP.